Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I'm Ruth Carter, the Liberty Coach, and I'm here with a special Parenting Live. Yes, I am featuring on a Saturday this week, and I just wanted to come to you this time with about family values. I've had some time to reflect upon my own family values. Here in the UK, we are in phase two, I believe, of another lockdown, and we are spending more and more time at home and time with our families. It's allowed me to reflect on what are some of the values that I have, that I've learned, values that I've taken up, and reflecting on a real positive question that I asked my parents when I was transcribing their stories about values. I will show you that clip a little later on, but it is about time that we reflect upon our values in our own household, especially as we're spending much more time there. Is your house a happy house? Is your household one where it's greeting, welcoming, loving, filled with care? Or is it the opposite of some of the things that I've said? Especially if you're at a time where you really need to be spending your time at home, going out for your hour exercise, going out for the essentials. It really makes me think, what are the family values that I have put in place for my children? And then it makes me reflect upon what I received as a child. And then grasp on the stories from my parents about what they learned from their parents. Some values become traditions within some family households, and some it's just as it is. This is the way it is. These are the rules, these are the principles that we live by, and every member in this house lives by them. Sometimes they're integrated gently over the years, where it becomes like firm concrete, giving you the stability and certainty of knowing who you are and where your family comes from. Does anything that I have said resonate with you in terms of your family values? One of them that holds real high, especially for the George family, is love. Love is one of the values that we have, as to love one another, but to love yourself as well. But we always had this idea of being good to one another, like fighting with my brothers and sisters wasn't the one. Even though at times you wanted to kind of have that tussle, we weren't allowed to get away with fighting within our siblings. And I've taken that as a value into my own household with my own children, in the respect that I have a son and I have a daughter. And I do remember the times when they used to get on each other's nerves and they wanted to fight, and I would always separate them because I just didn't agree that brothers and sisters should be putting their hands on each other in a violent and disrespectful way. It just didn't resonate with me to do that. So over the years, as growing them up, I used to say to my daughter, one day, your brother, he'll be taller than you, he'll be bigger than you. I don't want him to be practicing, hitting at his own sister, because from where I stood as the parent with my two children in that scenario, I was looking at it from the male's perspective. If my son can grow up to hit on his own sister, who is his own blood, flesh and blood, what is the likelihood that he could go on to hit out at a woman or a partner that he is involved with? That was my thinking when they were in their young, tender age, because it's behaviour, it's pattern. So it's like we get upset, we get aggressive, and we lash out. If we develop this habit at a young age, I kind of figured this could go on into their young adulthood, throughout their whole life. This is not how I was raised. I wasn't raised to witnessing people throwing hands, pushing each other. I didn't see that within my parents, and it certainly was encouraged that between us as siblings that we would fight and put hands on each other. That was disencouraged. Yes, we got upset with one another, but we had to find other ways. We had to use our words. We couldn't be raising no hands, not in my mother and father's house, because the value of love allows you to find a compromise, to find another way. When you have other feelings going through, your tempers are raising and things are being said, and then people want to come and say they're sorry. In a situation, we were just taught just to think about things first before you let off the handle. And even I had to ask my parents, like, do you argue and things like that? But they said they have discussions, but they never was doing any of that in front of us as children. So in terms of what values we have seen in our parents, we too tend to take them on for ourselves. There may be some that you've taken to help with your own children growing up, but definitely love is one that holds reign high, because I just feel that as brothers and sisters, there should be some form of love towards one another. The way you talk to one another should come from a loving, caring way. Don't think that we should disrespect each other when we're talking within our households. People get upset, and yes, we get to the edge, but could I get to the edge with my parents? No, 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 because their value is another one, respect. So there's no way that I could ever teeter around the edge of that, because that value is so high on their platform that it doesn't warrant skirting around any level of there with any signs of disrespect. It's just literally, this is how it is, this is how we behave, this is how we treat one another, this is how we talk to one another. And those things was instilled at a very young age. And again, I can see how I have drawn on those practices of respect, of instilling it into my life as well as into my children's life. And tonight I'm just going to reflect again upon my son. He is 6'3". And over the years, as he's grown up, he said he's always looked up to me because he was shorter. But now, when we have a conversation, he says it's really weird me looking up at him. So when we're having a conversation, sometimes he's at a distance from me so that we are eye to eye, so that we're at the same level, because for him, he is showing a sign of respect to me, his mother, that I shouldn't be looking up to him, but that, he's just doing that as a sign of respect. When we're sitting down, we're kind of like level to level, but that's another positive. And even with my daughter, tone is key, because she picks up on tone very, very quick, just like me. The other day, I was on the phone conversation with her, and was I hurrying her up off the phone? I was. I used this term. I said, all righty-o. And she goes, oh, okay then. So you're rushing me off the phone. And sometimes our tone may, start skirting along those borders of respect. But for me, in that moment, I apologized, because I said I'm tired, and I felt that we had the conversation that needed to be had, and that time was of an essence in that moment. And so me saying a rightio was a way of me saying, yes, the conversation's done for me. But for her, in her respect charter, it was like I was skirting, where I recognised that, even though that's my daughter, as the parent, to recognise some of our errors when we do skirt around some of the values that we've been put in place, and we kind of overstep the boundaries, to recognise that and to say sorry, apologise, and move it forward. So if this is the first time that you're joining me, welcome. This is a Parenting Live, where we just touch on different subjects in relation to parenting issues, and tonight I'm just covering some of the values. I do have a snippet of my parents sharing one of the values of respect and the reason why they have it. But I've also recognized, for me, because I've been with my parents and grown up with them all my time in my childhood, that was where a lot of the learning took place. And now that I'm in my mid years of life, I can see the value in having really good values that benefit you and benefit others around you. I've had experience where I've worked in different settings, especially within the education forum, and I have been a cover teacher, and I have come into situations where I have been met with disrespect. What those children didn't realise is that they were skirting around one of my prominent values, and it's prominent because of the reflections on how my parents gave me that value called respect. And as I walked in the classroom, I could hear the little chatter, and I could see from afar that, oh, this could be a difficult, challenging lesson. But I hasten to add, I went on with the lesson. And this is where I find that the lessons that my parents have taught come up and show up in my life. And I wonder if for you, some of the reflections from your parents show up into your life in certain challenging situations, or do you let go of your values and see what presents? Well, on this occasion, I will not mention the school, but there was 4 boys sitting at the back of the classroom, and one in particular was very disrespectful, made taking a register very challenging. But I continued on and gave the objectives of the lesson. This young person decided to keep going, but I just kind of let it known. I said, listen, I you don't know who I am, first off, and which is fine. But I said, I see where you are. I see that you're over in the respect, and I am happy to come over and drag you back to the side of respect. But I don't think that you want to do that. And anyway, this young person kept going, kept going, kept going, and I thought, okay, he is still going. But do you know what? There was one little angel in that classroom, I tell you. One little boy came up to me and said to me, Miss, if you call or ask for help, he said, they're going to say that you did something that you didn't do and whatever, not have you. I said, okay, thank you for the heads up. And then, because I was ignoring this bad behaviour, this young man decided to throw a book at me, which hit me like just like at the side of my face. Now, at that precise moment, because I couldn't see the book come in, I was upset when I got hit. Now, in that split second, I had a choice to make, and it was based upon my values. I knew where this kid was, I knew he was featuring over in disrespect. I'm over in the respect side. I said, if I do come over, I will drag you back. I did say that to him. But you know what? I just said, I got up and I said, do you know what? I said, I apologise. I said, I'm the adult in this room. Clearly, things have escalated to the point that you're going to throw a book at me, but that's not where I want this to go. Like, this is the last warning kind of thing. Even though he had thrown the book, kind of switched it around, didn't shout or anything, just apologised, recognising I'm the adult in the situation, that I'm dealing with little kids, and, we need to get on with the lesson. So, last warning, young man still didn't get it, and therefore he mentioned a word. The word was pussy. He said that word, and I said, don't talk about what you don't get. And the whole class started erupting in laughter, laughing after him, right? Like, Miss got you. She got you. Yeah, of course I got you. I told you I'd drag you back. But things did turn around from that point on, because this young man actually shared with me that his father was in prison at the time, that he was having difficulties with his behaviour, and that he did make a judgment about me, that they never have their own teachers, it's always different cover teachers. But we had a real good positive dialogue as a point of that. But I mention it to say it could have gone the other way. If I didn't keep my value of respect, that whole scenario could have gone the other way. There are a lot of teaching staff out there that are very stressful or stressed at the moment with not just the current situation, but life stuffs and challenges. And therefore, your values will keep you strong in the moment when you need it and can easily turn a situation around. So, with that, I'm gonna just play the little clip of my parents sharing about their respect and their values and what it means to them and how they've given that to us as children. So if you can bear with me.
The value is we brought up to have respect to our parents and elderly people. And it's the same thing that we transferring back to our children. So actually, the children growing up to have respect to their parents and to elderly people, and to, if you meet somebody, you just tell them good morning, good evening, not run past them, because it is not good manners.
Yeah, it's the same. To have good manners, good principle, basically to respect yourself and respect others.
So that was my parents who were giving just their little views on respect. And as it is a good morning, good afternoon, good evening to the elderly in the street, to my mum and dad at any time you see them. It is something that was from my great grandparents, grandparents, a good day, good morning, and even to have a conversation with people. I can't walk the street and not say good evening, good morning to the elderly, because even when I did it once, they pull me up on it. And I don't know if it's for all cultures, but I know definitely from where my father's from in Dominica and my mother in Jamaica. And a lot of those that contributed into the book also talked about having manners, having respect, which is something that we're not always seeing within our children. Sometimes our children want to talk to us in a disrespectful way, and think that it's all right, and it's not. And even now, where I'm having a transition, where I've gone back into the social care sector and working with young adults going into independence, even I'm faced with that, with the respect. And one young man in particular, I knocked on his door just to sort out some of his college things, and he responded, "Yes," like that to me. And I was like, do you know what? Can you not come at me like that? Because I'm not coming to you in that way. All I'm doing is trying to help you. And sometimes some people just don't have any respect for themselves or for other people. So I've always feel that it is important that we teach our young ones to respect themselves, especially if you're looking for it. Like if you're looking to have respect at this point on going forward, and it's never been something that you've discussed with your child previously, you have to teach them how to have respect for themselves first and understand the value of it for themselves first, in order to understand deeper how to have respect for you, because it goes both ways. Like, I love and respect my parents to the highest amount, but I recognize I respect myself also to the highest amount. And the same with my children. And they won't allow anyone to come at them at certain ways because it is disrespectful. Tone is another thing for me. People think they can listen. There was a guy in Asda just the other day, made me feel like I don't want to go Asda anymore. But this particular what they call them, sales person or customers, retail person, the way how he handled my shopping, I felt was disrespectful. I didn't like the way that how he was dealing with my shopping, and he never said hello. And the way he told me my total was as though I couldn't afford to pay for it. How disrespectful. But you know what I said to myself? You know what, Ruth? You know this guy has got some issues. I don't know if he's got learning needs or what, but because I noticed it the first time that he struggles to say hello, or I didn't know whether it's because I'm of a certain makeup or uniform, but I'd noticed it once. But the way I dealt with my shopping this time around, I was like, I don't even want to come back to Asda. And that's the Wigmore one, I will say, because you might have come across the same said man like I did. But respect is high. Care is the last one I'm going to cover today. Care. Now, how care is featured in our family is about taking care of not just your health needs, but also your spiritual needs and also your mental health needs. Now, my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, she was very much into holistic medicines. I was thinking earlier, how long has it been since my kids have been on Tixilix and all that kind of medication? And I'm guessing it's around 13 years or more, because before my parents left, especially my dad, who's taken up again this value of care, of using herbal remedies for healing purposes, for regeneration within the body, feeling rejuvenated. My dad has been very one of them. So anytime we were sick, it was drink this, boil that, rub that, scrub that. It was all that kind of type of stuff we got. So I got my dad to go through all the different herbs, what it was it for, and things like that. So, like, say, for example, cinnamon bark. If you've got a cough, we would boil some of that. I've got some merengue and some cerasee, clear out your blood. These are the things that my dad would say, but I'm sure his mum would say them too. So I made a note of them so that I could use them myself and also give them to my children. So anytime they were sick while they were growing up, I put them on a lot of these herbal remedies. But I do use proper medicine in terms of the GP practices, because there have been times that one time my son had a cough and it just kept coming and just wouldn't go. The cinnamon bark and some of the other remedies helped, but what he actually needed was antibiotics. And so therefore you use them with wisdom in terms of, if something's getting better or whether something's getting worse. You're not a physician, I'm not a physician, but I know, say, my grandmother knew something that worked, and my father has taken it on. I certainly have taken it on. My children have come to me and said, oh, Mum, what do I take? And I'm hoping that I can teach that now to them, so that when they get older and they have their children, they can say that their great-great-grandmother, brought this to them. And this all comes under the care feature. And with my parents, they're very spiritual based. My dad was a pastor when he was here in the UK and in ministry for a long time, many years. And along with my mum, who also was in mission and preaching and teaching, and she still does to this day. Their spiritual care is about the times that they pray. Sometimes we need to get on our knees and pray and ask God for some direction, your spiritual guide for direction, for intervention. We're in a time we don't even know what's going on, and no one doesn't seem to have any answers right now. But when you have a faith and a belief in a higher source, you have some certainty that you're going to get through it. Even scientific, it has been proven that prayer does help with recovery, especially when people have had surgeries. They've done one where one set wasn't being prayed for and the other one was, and the one that was, their surgery went a lot smoother and their recovery was a lot quicker. So I do take heart that, you know, this stuff works. Sounds a little bit woo-woo, but you know, you got to find what works in order to keep your spiritual care, your physical care going. And now just touching on your mental health as well. You know, we're in the winter months. This is the time where I think most people feel down. We don't get as much sunshine. You know, any little glaze of the sun that I get, you know, I'm like, oh, thankful for it. Top up on your vitamin D, because these are the things that we kind of need right now. But also talking therapies. I'm definitely one for talking therapies, coaching, even if it's a friend. You've got text messaging services for counselling. As a family, how we would do it, we would talk to one another about things that were going off, which will lead into the prayer part of it. And you know, addressing issues. Sometimes you need to go to the doctor, sometimes you need to be prayed for, sometimes you just need to get your ass up and get things done and moving. It all requires what it is necessary at that appointed time. So what are your family values? Some of that I've touched on, mixed stories in around. You might even have some of them yourself. Keep remembering them, share them with your family, your nieces, your nephews, your children coming up, so people know exactly how to talk to you and address you, that they won't come sideways at you, that they'll come straight ahead, looking you in your face with a pleasant smile and address you exactly how you need to be addressed. So that's my little snippet for today on family values, the George family values. I am so grateful to God for my mother and father. They have raised wonderful, wonderful children, and I'm just glad for their parents who have given them a good grounding and raised them to have great manners, great respect, great love, great care. And look, I'm a produce of that. So with that, I'm going to end the live. Have a blessed weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening. I hope you have something nice planned. I do, and that is to rest and have some downtime. So have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much. I can see so much coming through on the thread. I hope that it resonated with you all. I see Destiny D's there, Yvonne is there, Carol, welcome this evening. Thank you so much. And Sharon's there. I will go through all those messages shortly. But think about your family values. Focus it on now, because there's stuff going out in the world today, and that is taking the focus away from your family. You have your values. Implement them. Talk about them. Tell your children where they came from, who you heard say it the most, so that it can have some certainty, some grounding within their hearts, their minds and souls, and shape them into beautiful characters and global citizens. So yeah, that's me for this evening. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to responding to all your comments shortly. Take care and God bless.